In 1959, Western medical laboratories received a piece of flickering film from behind the Iron Curtain that defied the known laws of biology. It showed a dog's head, completely severed from its body, resting on a table. The head was blinking, it was reacting to the sound of a hammer, it was even licking cheese from a spoon. The footage then showed a large German shepherd walking around a laboratory with a second, smaller head surgically grafted onto its neck. Both heads were conscious. Both could see, drink, and react to their environment independently. While these images look like an elaborate piece of Cold War propaganda, they are historical facts. These operations were documented in peer-reviewed literature and filmed by the Soviet state as proof of scientific dominance. Every heart-lung bypass machine and coronary transplant performed today shares a direct biological lineage with these two-headed dogs. The techniques developed to keep a severed head alive provided the raw blueprints for the world's first successful human heart transplant. In the 1920s, organ transplantation was considered pure Gothic fiction. Clinical death was an absolute biological wall. Once a heart stopped beating, the organism was dead. The idea of moving a living organ from one body to another was seen as medically impossible. After the 1917 revolution, the Soviet state operated under intense pressure to prove its ideology. Under Stalin, science was weaponized to show that communist materialism could conquer death itself. To these scientists, the brain was just a machine, and the body was merely its chassis. This produced a research environment with no ethical review boards and no animal welfare laws. Any scientist willing to break the accepted rules of biology was given a blank check from the state. Because there were no social or moral boundaries to navigate, Soviet Russia became the only place on Earth where the mechanics of cheating death were being built and tested in real time. In 1925, a young physician named Sergei Brukhonenko stood before the Second Congress of Russian Pathologists in Moscow to present a radical theory. He believed that if you mechanically supplied a brain with oxygenated blood, that brain would remain conscious regardless of what happened to the body. His core invention was a device he called the autojector. It functioned as an artificial cardiovascular system, replacing both the heart and the lungs. The autojector IVA utilized two electric diaphragm pumps to substitute for the heart. A glass vessel acted as the lungs, extracting carbon dioxide and adding oxygen. By connecting severed neck vessels to this loop, the machine forced heated, oxygenated blood into the isolated brain. Verifiable records show that the severed head survived for 100 minutes. It reacted to light and sound, proving for the first time in human history that consciousness could be sustained outside of a host body. Vladimir Demikhov, a World War II combat surgeon, took this mechanical concept to its biological conclusion. Instead of using a glass machine to sustain a head, he decided to use a living host body. In 1954, Demikhov performed an operation that shocked the world. He surgically grafted the upper body and head of a small dog onto the neck of a larger host. To achieve this, Demikhov invented vascular anastomosis, the precise surgical stapling of arteries and veins to connect two biological systems. This allowed the donor head to share the host's circulatory system, receiving oxygenated blood without interrupting flow to the brain. Demikhov performed 23 of these operations. Both heads remained independently conscious, sleeping and waking at different times while reacting to different stimuli. While every subject eventually died from immune rejection, Demikhov had successfully proven that vital organs could ultimately be disconnected and reattached to a new living system. In the West, news of these experiments triggered a biological arms race. The US government began funding neurosurgeons like Robert White to perform primate head transplants in an effort to match Soviet capabilities. However, a surgeon in South Africa named Christian Barnard viewed the leaked footage as a technical manual for human application. Throughout the early 1960s, Barnard made secret trips to Demikhov's Moscow lab. He was there to study the vascular anastomosis and cardiac bypass techniques that the rest of the world had condemned. In 1967, using Demikhov's exact blueprints for reconnecting blood vessels, Barnard performed the world's first successful human heart transplant. Barnard later admitted that, without Demikhov's work in that Moscow basement, he would never have achieved the transplant. The man once dismissed as a creator of monsters is now recognized by his peers as the founder of transplantology. Today, the crude, unregulated labs of the Cold War have been replaced by the hyper-sterile operating rooms of the 21st century. In 2024, surgeons successfully transplanted a genetically modified pig kidney into a living human patient, the first time a non-human organ has sustained a living person. Interspecies transplantation, the very act that earned Demikhov his reputation as a monster, now serves as the frontier for solving the global organ shortage. Demikhov predicted this shortage 60 years before the rest of the medical community. He built the foundation for a world where biology is no longer a fixed limit, but rather a problem to be engineered. Every life saved in a modern transplant unit is a legacy of those basement labs in Moscow. When a surgeon saves a life today, they are utilizing techniques born from a series of bloody, forgotten experiments that society once declared impossible to forgive.